And I know you've spoken about being diagnosed with OCD and anxiety following Meadow's birth. What were some of the early signs or internal warning bells you now realize you were experiencing at that time?
When people think about OCD, they always, and I don't fault them for this, I used to do this too, but they always think about the stereotypical hand washing. And what I tell people and educate people about all the time with OCD is what OCD is like at its very core. If you just like boil it down to one sentence, it's an intolerance of uncertainty. And so when someone is washing their hands, they want to be absolutely certain that there are no germs, that they're not going to get sick. Like there's this whole cascade of intrusive thoughts going on in their brain, right? And, I didn't find out that I had OCD until after we made it through the bulk of Meadow's medical stuff. However, now knowing what I know about OCD, I know I've had it my whole life. And so where I really, really, really see it a lot is actually during my pregnancy. And so I did not tell anyone that I was pregnant until I was 34 weeks. Like, we didn't do maternity pictures until then. We didn't do any kind of public announcement. And I wouldn't have even done a public announcement, but I literally, as part of selling my business, there was a conference that I really needed to go to. And when you're that pregnant, like, there's no way to hide being that pregnant. So I kind of had to announce it in the moment 'cause it was going to be a very like public moment for me. But where the OCD shows up in that is just like this undercurrent and this thought of like, if I do this thing, something bad will happen. That's kind of like my flavor of OCD. And so it really like jarred me and rocked me to my core that I did the things that I was scared of. Like I made the announcement. My friend threw me a surprise baby shower. I wasn't going to have a baby shower because I thought that would be bad luck. I did all these things. And then all of a sudden, I'm 36 weeks pregnant, finding out that my daughter has 4 heart defects. And
Wow.
so in my brain, I'm like, I caused this. Obviously, like, I'm a nurse practitioner, and there's logic and reasoning somewhere in my brain that I have access to sometimes to be like, her heart was formed at 6 weeks. You didn't
Mm,
cause this in the last 2 weeks. But with OCD doesn't listen to logic. And
no,
when you are, like, in the heat of those emotions and such,
of
like, an
course.
intense time, like, it's really hard to grapple with.
Yeah. And I know that when I'm, despite all the spiritual practice that I've done for
Mhm.
many years, literally when something comes on and it's something you're dealing with yourself, you know what you're supposed to do, but that fight or flight response comes in, the
Yeah.
reptilian brain, the ache in the gut, and it's just so hard to come back to center, even with all your practices.
Well, I think on
It's
the spiritual
mhm,
side too, like, my whole pregnancy, literally my entire pregnancy, I felt like something was wrong.
mhm.
And I kept getting told over and over, like, in a nice way, like, "You're being kinda crazy right now. Like, you're being really anxious right now. Like, we've done all these ultrasounds, she is fine."
Mhm. You knew
But
intuitively.
I knew. I really, really knew. I was like from the second I got pregnant, I was like, "Something feels off." Like, it just doesn't feel totally right. But I obviously couldn't, like, name what that was.
Yep. It's your intuition, our beautiful women's intuition. How did you begin to navigate your own healing while also advocating for your daughter's care?
I often tell people, when we lived in the hospital, it was all about Meadow all the time, and we just had to survive that moment. Like, Meadow had to be the forefront, Meadow had to be the focus because, like, there were real life critical decisions to be made, and she had a whole host of complications. I mean, she ended up having a brain bleed at one point, like, she had to be first and foremost. But the second that we got a little bit of breathing room out of the hospital, I was actually looking at the dates here recently. We got out of the hospital with Meadow, like, the first or second week of January back in 2023, and I had my OCD assessment on January 16th. So, like, I already knew that I was not in a good spot, and I already knew that whatever I was doing was not working, and what really, like, drove me to be like, "Okay, like, I have to tackle this right now," is I couldn't sleep. I could hardly eat. Like, I could not do my normal day-to-day items, let alone be a present mom, let alone be the kind of mom that I wanted to be and the kind of person I wanted to show up as. And so I was like, I just have to tackle this head on because I just can't function in day-to-day life right now.